All right, looking at your assignment, the first square, the first box up there has 4x plus 2 plus 8x minus 9. Anywhere in there, is there an equal sign anywhere? No, there is not. This is an expression. Okay? So with an expression, all you're doing is combining like terms. So I'm going to put together my x's, and I have 4x and 8x. That's 12x. Then I'm doing positive 2 minus 9, which gives me minus 7. Now, I want to remind you, checking in the calculator. Put the original problem into y1, what you think the answer is into y2. You have to know how to check in order to answer some of the questions on your test. So I'm going to put in there 4x plus 2 plus 8x minus 9. Then in y2, I'm going to put in there what I think the answer is. 12x minus 7. Then I'm going to press second graph. The way you know you're right with expressions is that all of y1 and y2, those two columns are the same. So that's okay. All right, so now let's go to the second one. We have 3 times 5x plus 2, oops, plus 9. Again, this is an expression. There's no equal sign in it. Order of operations says to do the parentheses first. So I'm going to take 3 times 5. That gives me 15x. Then you take 3 times 2. That gives me positive 6. This 9 is not in the parentheses, so we just bring it down. Okay, so that's the first part. Now we combine like terms. So I will put my numbers together right here. And I get 15x plus 15. Check it in the calculator in y1 and y2. So again, I'll grab the handy dandy calculator if it doesn't go away. There we go. Y equals, I'm going to put 3 parentheses, 5x plus 2 plus 9. And then in y2, what I think the answer is, 15x plus 15. I'm going to press second graph. All of y1 and y2 should be the same. And that means I'm right. Now, if you look a little bit farther down, or actually let's look below over there, we've got the problem 12 plus 3 times 5x minus 4 plus 3x. Again, there's still no equal sign anywhere in there. It's still an expression. The first thing you do is parentheses. The parentheses are right here. So you'll take 3 times 5x, 3 times negative 4. So I'm going to bring down my 12, and I have a 12. 3 times 5 is 15x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. This 3x is not in the parentheses. I need to just bring it down. Now, in that box, if I don't see all these steps, I'm counting it wrong. If all you do is put the final answer, I'm going to count it wrong. Now I put together my x's. 15x plus 3x is 18x. Then I have 12 minus 12, which makes 0. So 18x is my answer. y1 and y2. So going in here to y equals 12 plus 3 x minus 4 parentheses plus 3x. Arrow down into y2, and I'm going to put 18x in there. Second graph. You know you're correct if all y1 and y2 are the same, and they are. The answer is this right here, 18x. Going down below it again, I have 48 equals 8 parentheses x plus 3. Now this time I have an equation. Okay? So with this equation, I'm going to go to the equal sign and I'm going to draw my dotted line. Now, if I look just on the left-hand side, is there anything I can do with it or put anything together? No. So it's just going to be 48. If I look over here on the right-hand side, I have 8 times x, 8 times 3. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times 3, 24. Well, from here, now it's a regular two-step problem. I will subtract 24 from each side. I get 24 equals 8x. I now will divide by 8, and I get x equals 3. I must see all of these steps for you to receive credit. If you have not written down all these steps on your paper, I will count it wrong. If we go down one more, this time we see 2, 1 minus 2x equals 4x plus 18. Okay, first step, go to y equals. I'm going to draw my dashed line right there. I'm going to cover up the right-hand side, and now I'm going to look on the left. What can I do to make things simpler? I'm going to take 2 times 1, which gives me 2. 2 times negative 2x, negative 4x equals, if I cover up the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, there's nothing for me to put together. I'm just going to have 4x plus 18. Now, what do you notice is different this time than the other equations we've done? We have x's on both sides, don't we? Okay, so it really doesn't matter what you do, or which side you do, but you want to have the x's on one side and numbers on the other, okay? It doesn't matter if it's left or right, but because of inequalities, which is what we're going to do next, like we're going to be doing that in December, the best thing to do is to always have your x's on the left-hand side. So I want to take this 4x, and I want it to go over to the other side. But I can't just put it there. To move it over the equal sign, I have to do the opposite. So the opposite of positive 4x is negative 4x. So I'm going to subtract 4x from each side. I get 2, it's not 0. Negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8x. Now this one over here is 0. Equals 18. Now I've got to move this 2 over here to the right. It's got to go that way. So I'm going to subtract 2 from each side. I get negative 8x equals 16. I'm going to divide by negative 8. X equals negative 2. To check this in the calculator, put the left-hand side into y1, right-hand side into y2. So there it is. I'm going to put in there 2 parentheses 1 minus 2x. And in y2, I'm going to put the right-hand side, 4x plus 18. And I'm going to press second graph. I think the answer is negative 2. So I'm going to go and see where x is negative 2, and y1 and y2 have to be the same. And since they are, that means I got it right. Okay, one of the other ones says 8x plus 5 plus 4x minus 6. This again is an expression. There's no equal sign. So all we're doing is combining like terms. You take and you will multiply outside of each one of the parentheses. 8 times x, 8x. 8 times 5 is 40. Then you will do the same thing on the next set of parentheses. I have 4 times x, 4x, 4 times negative 6, negative 24. Now from here, put your x's together. So 8 and 4 is 12x. Then you have 40 minus 24. What is that, 16? Okay, so there should be your answer. But you should have already known you got it right because you put it in the calculator. The next one below that says x plus 5, x minus 1 equals 7. Here we have an equation. Here's my dotted line on the equal to sign. I'm going to do, look, and I have parentheses, and I'm going to do the hippity-hoppity distributive property first. This x right here is not in the parentheses, so I just bring it down. And I have 5 times x, which is 5x. 5 times negative 1, negative 5, equals 7. Well, as I look here, I see that I've got x's to put together. X and 5x gives me 6x minus 5 equals 7. From here, it's a regular two-step. I'll add 5 to each side. I get 6x equals 12. Divide by 6. X equals 2. When you are checking, remember, you put the left-hand side into Y1 and the right-hand side into Y2. When you press second graph and you go to look, X, Y1, and Y2, where X is 2, in your calculator, it's going to say 7 and 7. All right, the next one. Negative 2x equals negative 10. This one is actually just a regular one-step equation. All you should have to do is divide by negative 2. And you should have x equals 5. For another one, we have 7x minus 6x minus 2 equals negative 1. Try this one. All right, so on this one, what I see is I have a 7x. Well, okay, let me back up. It's an equation, and I see a 7x. But it's not what's right with the parentheses. And this is something that'll trip you up. It says negative in front of there. So the 7x comes down, and this is a negative 1. I'm taking negative 1 times 6x. Negative 1 times negative 3. So I have 7x, negative 1 times 6x, negative 6x, negative 1 times negative 2, which is positive 2. And that equals negative 1. So I did the distributive property first. Now I put my x's together. 7 minus 6 is 1x plus 2 equals negative 1. Now I'm going to subtract 2 from each side, and I get x equals negative 3. All right, let's look at another one. It says 4 parentheses, 3x minus 1 equals 2x plus 3 plus 4x. There's a whole lot going on this one. It's an equal sign, so I'm going to draw my dotted line. Now, I'm going to cover up the right-hand side and look on the left. What can I put together and do? I can multiply and do the distributive property. So I have 4 times 3x, 12x, 4 times negative 1, negative 4, equals. Now I got to go over here and look at the right-hand side. All right, I've got a 2 outside the parentheses, but be careful. You only multiply it by those 2 terms. The 4x is chilling by itself. So I have 2 times x, 2x, 2 times 3, plus 6, and then the 4x comes down, plus 4x. All right, so I'm here, and I look at it again, and on the left-hand side, I still have 12x minus 4 equals. On the right-hand side, I still have things to put together. I'll put together the 2x and the 4x. So I get 6x, and the 6 just comes down, so it's plus 6. Now, you need to move your x's to the left. To move that 6x over there, I have to do the opposite, and I need to see you write minus 6x to each side. 12x minus 6x is 6x minus 4 equals, these x's cancel, and I have a positive 6. Now, I'm going to add 4 to each side. Whoa. I hope there was a fraction for an answer, was there? So there's 6x equals 10. Divide by 6. X equals 6 repeating, which is 1 2/3. Is there one of those there as an answer choice? You guys saw it. There is a fraction. Okay, so let's well, darn it. Let's see here. All right, so let's do this. Since it's only a fraction, let's make sure we did it right. If I go into my home screen right here and I put 10, divide 6, and press enter, it gives me that decimal. But if you press math, enter, enter, it will change my fraction, and there it is. It's 5/3. So the answer choices that they gave you was x equals 5/3 in the answer choices that they gave you. Now, if I go and look up above in some of these, I see where it says -8 minus x plus 10. Well, hopefully you already did this one. What is right outside the parentheses? Is the -8? No, it's a -1. So that -8 comes down. Then you take -1 times x, -1 times 10. So I get -x minus 10. Now, put together your numbers. I get -x minus 18. This is an expression, so all you did was combine like terms. All right, so another one. X plus 4 times x plus 3. Again, this is an expression. What number is right outside the parentheses? The 4. So I'm going to take 4 times x and 4 times 3. So I have x, and then 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3, 12. Put my x's together. I get 5x plus 12. That's my answer. Negative 6x plus 3 equals negative 8x minus 21. There's your equation. Go ahead and try and do that one. This one is an equation. So where it has the equal to sign, you need to draw your dotted line. I need to see all your work. What you see on this one, though, is that you've got x's on both sides. We're going to have to move our equation so that the x's are on the left. Oops, that's a number sign. So I have the x's on the left and the numbers on the right. It doesn't have to be that way, but when we go to inequalities, which is coming up in December in the next units, it's always easier to move your x's to the left. So now what that means is, see this negative 8x? I need to move this over here to the left. To move it to the other side of the equal sign, though, you have to do the opposite. So instead of minus 8x, we need to add 8x. So right now in your paper, you should have plus 8x. Now, negative 6x plus 8x, 2x plus 3 equals, these make 0. I bring down the negative 21. Now from here, I'm going to just a regular two-step equation. Now, I subtract 3 from each side, and yes, I must see all those steps. 2x equals negative 24. From here, I'm going to divide by 2. X equals negative 12. Well, let's remember how to check in an equation. We're going to put the left-hand side into y1, right-hand side into y2. Because you are able to check, I am much harsher when I'm grading because you should get the right answers. So when I go to y equals, I'm going to put in there negative 6x plus 3, and into y2, negative 8x minus 2. I'm going to press second graph. I believe the answer is negative 12, so I'm going to go and look and see where x is negative 12. On an equation, you know you're right because y1 and y2 are the same. It looks like I messed up, though, doesn't it? Let's see. Did I type it in there right? Negative 6x plus 3, negative 8x minus 2. So where did I mess up? Oh, because it's not minus 2, is it?
21. Yeah, smaller.
It's minus 21. That's where you always look first to make sure that you put it in there right first before you get upset and thinking that you missed it. Now when I go and look, they're both 75. Y1 and Y2 are the same, so that means that I've got it right. So let's look at another one. Let's look at 2x plus 1 equals 5x minus 2. Okay, it is an equation, so I'm going to draw my dotted line on the equal sign. Whoa, nice dotted line. Okay. Now, if I cover up the right-hand side, and let's just look at the left. There's parentheses, so I have to do the distributive property. So I'm going to have to take 2 times x and 2 times 1. 2 times x, 2x, 2 times 1, plus 2 equals. All right, let's go over here. Cover up the left-hand side. Well, because there's things going on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to multiply and do the distributive property. 5 times x, 5x, 5 times negative 2, negative 10. All right. So I've taken care of both sides. There's nothing else to combine or put together on each side. Now my issue is I have x's on both sides. I need to move my 5x over here to the left. But it can't just magically go over there. Make it the opposite. I've got a positive 5x, so I need to subtract 5x from both sides. Please look at the steps. I'm doing it step by step, and that's what I expect to see on your paper. 2x minus 5x, negative 3x, bring down that plus 2. 5x minus 5x makes 0. And then I have negative 10. From here, I should subtract 2 from each side. Negative 3x, those 2's cancel out, equals negative 12. Divide by negative 3. X equals 4. Remember, checking will be on your test. When we go to y equals, put the left-hand side into y1, 2 parentheses, x plus 1. And in y2, 5 parentheses, x minus 2. Second graph, what did I think the answer was? I thought the answer was 4. Now you can arrow down and go to where x is 4, but a quick way is second window. Type in what number you think the answer is. I think it's a 4. This works with decimals as well. Second graph. y1 and y2 are the same. That means that I got it right. Now what about this type of problem? Negative 2x minus x minus 7 minus 8. Is there an equal sign anywhere in there? No, this is just an expression. So all we're doing here is putting our x's together and our numbers together. So right here, I have negative 2x minus x, negative 2 minus 1, negative 3x, and then I put my units together. Negative 7 minus 8, negative 15. Now remember, on this one, to check, you put the unsimplified into y1, the simplified into y2. So when I go into y equals, I put in there negative 2x minus x minus 7 minus 8. And in y2, negative 3x, 3x minus 15. Now remember, there's not just one spot to look for your answer here, second graph. On an expression, you want to make sure the columns are all the same. Okay, because it could be any number for x. So all of y1 and y2 should be the same. What about this one? Oops, I need to get the pen to write. Take a second and try and do this. This is an expression again. And try and do this one. So on this one, it's an expression. Darn it, go away, calculator. All right. The first thing you need to do is the distributive property. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 2 is 12. These are not in the parentheses, so I just bring them down. Now, I go through and I put my x's together. 6x minus 9x, negative 3x, 12 minus 10 is plus 2. And again, checking the original into y1, what you believe the answer is into y2. Pressing second graph. And remember that y1 and y2, this whole column on expressions, they all have to match up and be the same.